Okay. Ooh, welcome everyone to Reedsy Live. And I see that some of you guys have already started posting some comments in the chat. 7,000 words in. Nice. I guess in some time zones people are taking a little break from work to do this, which hopefully it is a good little Friday break. Ah, cool. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and run our little opening sequence and get us started here. Hi guys, and welcome to what I think is our first writing happy hour in the novel sprint. Excited to see you guys popping up in the chat. People from all over the world, the Pacific Northwest. Feel free to shout out wherever else you are, wherever you're coming from. And thank you for joining us on this first Friday. It is the first Friday because it started on Saturday, I suppose. And yeah, real quick, before we get into our conversation and our writing sprints, just wanted to say great job everyone for making it through the first week. Sounds like some of you are, I mean, we'll sort of get a sense of this as the session goes on, but sounds like some of you guys are well over 10,000 words in, which I suppose is where you're like supposed to be at this point in the competition. But for someone like me who writes very slowly, I'm not personally doing the novel sprint this year. Not least because I'm an employee of Reedsy, but for someone like me who writes very slowly, this is quite impressive. So well done to all you guys tuning in. Oh, evening from Scotland. Evening indeed. I'm coming to you from London thereabouts. So it really is, well, I guess proper happy hour time would have been a couple hours ago, but this is Friday evening for us, and here we are. So yeah, just before I bring on our guest who will be giving a bit of a pep talk before we get into the sprinting bits. Yeah, I just wanted to say, in addition to congrats to everyone for making it this far already, so far, we have a Discord, a Reedsy Discord that you guys can join during or after this if you want to keep the conversation going, want to keep chatting to each other about your projects, or commiserating as the challenge goes on, as the case may be. So I think that the link to that Discord is just in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be in the description. So yeah, make sure to join that if you wanna keep it going after this. And otherwise, I hope that you guys, enjoy, but also have a productive but relatively chill one since the week is winding down. I'm assuming people will get probably more work done over the weekend if you work, a weekly job. I guess it sort of depends. But yeah, let's all try to have a good time, a motivational time. And I think I will bring in our guest now. So let's see if this is going to work. Rebecca, how are you?
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Happy
pretty
Friday.
well. Yes, happy Friday. It is the evening and it's very, very dark here. It seems to still be pretty light where you are. I'm jealous.
That will change over the course of this hour.
Fantastic. You guys will get to see this happen live, which is great. So yeah, I know you've hosted a few of these or been on a few of these relatively recently, but do you want to tell our viewers a little about yourself and your work?
Hi. Yeah, I am Rebecca. I am a marketer at Reedsy, but in addition to that, I am also an author, the author of two books, a novella, How to Adjust to the Dark, and most recently, this little book, Cat from Bloomsbury's Object Lesson series, which is a memoir about 2 years of life with my cats. So look into it if you're into cats. And yeah, I love November because it is, like January for writers, the time when we make a resolution to get something done and have a lot of collective energy around reaching that goal. So I have definitely done a few first drafts of projects during November in the past. And I'm not writing something new, I'm rewriting something old this November.
Something old, something new. How many times have you done it in the past?
Oh, I've done some version of it probably 3 or 4 times. But I think it can be really good energy to write a first draft of something new or to use it to just fix something old. So it's always a time when I'm trying to harness that energy to make something happen on the page, even if it's not a brand new first draft.
Certainly. Any words you can get on the page are good words, as far as we're concerned. Do you find that as you do more of them, you're getting better, as it were, or does it depend on the project? Are you writing faster as the years go by?
At this point, I'm a very fast writer, so that's wonderful. I definitely can do a first draft in a month pretty reliably. I I just think that turning a first draft into a final draft, that will never happen in a month for most authors. Of course, if you're working in a really defined genre and you're in one story world and your aim is to write a lot of books in a year, I know romance novelists do it. I know that people do it in fantasy series. So who am I to say you can't? But for me, um, the process that it takes to really figure out what a book is about, unfortunately, that still takes a lot of time after the first draft. The first draft is really just the initial period of exploring the ideas and characters for me. So,
Yeah. From what I have read, because again, I have not completed a November project or a book ever myself, but from what I've read of like even the most sort of famous NaNoWriMo novelists, it sounds like they all pretty much just like got it out during the month of November, and then all of those books required significant editing afterwards before they could be published. So I definitely think you're not alone. But anyone who does end up with a publishable book at the end of November, more power to you. That's amazing. Please let us know if that happens to be you. Um, and I was going to say, feel free to drop any questions for Rebecca or for myself about the challenge in the chat. I was going to say, Rebecca, speaking of going back to something old, what is it that you're working on at the moment?
so I wrote a quick draft of a novel. Several years ago at this point. I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022. All I know is that I abandoned it in a state of despair. I had written it, rewritten it the third time, read the third draft, realized it wasn't any closer to done, uh, put it aside. And then, now that it's been a few years, I have new perspective on it. So
Hmm.
it is a novel that originally tried to bridge a lot of different genres, that tried to start as a horror novel and then jump into being kind of a romance novel, and
Ooh.
then it had cult and commune elements. And what I realized is that there's a reason why most novels don't make big genre shifts. It's very, very difficult to do, to stay invested in the story in that way. So now it's
Yeah.
kind of just, I don't want to say I want to say it's a literary horror novel now.
Hmm.
Maybe,
Right
that's
on.
the idea with this draft.
It might be too early to say, but what would like your comp titles be for it if you had to try?
It is a sporer novel specifically. So, so
Spoiler.
mushroom or fungal
Oh,
horror. Um,
sure. I've read a
yes.
couple of
So
those.
yes, it's not in the universe of Annihilation. It's more in the universe of Jenny Hall's Paradise Rot. So a much more literary take on the genre, I would say. And it's also a workplace novel, so it could be comped also to Ling Ma's Severance, perhaps.
Oh, really
There's not
nice.
necessarily a futuristic element to it, but the combination of genres that happens there. Yeah.
Cool. The one that I feel like I know and that, well, maybe it's just recognizable because I was like in college when this came out, and I think I like read it in college, maybe for some esoteric seminar or something, is The Beauty by, I don't know how to say, Aaliyah Whiteley? Is that like a big one? Have
Oh,
you
I
read
don't
that?
know that one. I don't know that
Mm.
one. No, I should look into it. Another recent one that's kind of in that genre is Mexican Gothic,
Yes, I've read
which
that.
is a really fun one as well. So, I got into mushroom hunting. I have really frightened myself doing it several times. So, write what you know.
Wow, everything really is copy. That's amazing. Yeah, Mexican Gothic is I had forgotten about that book as well. I think we read that for Reedsy Book Club a few years ago, incidentally. And that one's kind of like a surprise. It's like a surprise fungi horror, as it were. But yeah,
Yes.
would recommend that to anyone who likes horror that's a bit different. And of course, whoops, of course, we'll see what ends up happening with your current project, Rebecca. Um, I was going to say just a couple more things before we get into a writing sprint, which hopefully all of you guys are prepared to do and excited to do. Uh, other than just, working on this project, knowing what it's all about, is there anything else in particular that is inspiring you at the moment? Or that you can
Hmm.
recommend to others to look to for inspiration? I'm putting you on the spot.
I have really been into reading classics this year, so I think that
Hmm.
that's something that's helped me a lot. When you're a writer and you're actively thinking about writing within a contemporary genre, you can end up reading a lot of new releases so that you know what the market looks like. But going back a little bit and reading like Daphne du Maurier and getting into the classic masters of genre, I've been reading a lot of thrillers and a little bit less horror, but seeing how they do the world building and suspense, I think that classic literature is classic for a reason, and it's delightful to go back to it um,
Mm.
after years of being focused on what is very new.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I go back to a classic, I'm always like, "Oh, wow, this is" well, sometimes you go back and you're like, maybe this is overrated, like, maybe it's not really worth my time," especially because some, like, denser ones do take concentration to get into, but I do usually find, like, that I'm, like, blown away by the quality. And yeah, the lessons that are timeless that you can take from it forever. So yeah, if anyone if anyone is seeking inspiration and has time to do so, you can read some classics. They might even be in the public domain. Is there a favorite one that you have gotten through recently?
Oh, definitely Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. It's my namesake. I'd never read it before,
Were
but
you actually named after the book?
oh no, just
Ah, that'd be
but
cool though.
it but it is my namesake, and I was absolutely blown away by it. So that was a really fun discovery this year. And yeah, some writers find find it very difficult to read when they're in a novel sprint like this. So the other thing that I recommend is just taking a walk, just doing nothing and giving your brain
Mm.
space.
Mhm.
So
I was going to say, again, right before we get into the sprint, I don't know if people will necessarily be able to take all of these tips into account right now, but is there anything else you would recommend just to keep up your productivity while also keeping up your morale? Because I know that can be hard this month.
I am a big fan of dedicated writing time, and for me, that is morning writing time. So I wake up early on purpose to write. However, if the words aren't coming, I think it's still important to honor that time and not start doing your 9 to 5. If you're reading, if you're just sitting there doing nothing, if you're doing something that counts as writing to you, free writing, journaling, thinking, outlining, playing around in Reedsy Studio, taking a walk, anything that's just giving your brain space where you're not in make money mode, where you're in be creative and engage with your ideas mode. I think that honoring that space this month, even if you're not writing 1600 words in that particular space, is just a really valuable and will set you up for success going forward beyond not November as well.
For sure. Just like the lessons from classic novels, these are also lessons to take forward into the future that you can always apply. Okay, cool. We won't prevaricate too much more. It's cool to see, yeah, that you guys, other people are saying like walking in nature also helps me. Some people are encouraging each other in the chats. So yeah, without further ado, I will head into our timer zone where Rebecca, you and I will both be muted. I'll start the timer and I'll put on some smooth piano jazz for our listeners. So we're just gonna do I think we're just gonna do 10-minute ones here. Although you guys feel free to let me know if you wanna do like one longer one. And yeah, we'll go in here. Everyone get ready. In Reedsy Studio, of course, make sure that you're doing all your words in there so it'll be counted towards the sprint and you can see your progress for today. And we'll answer some more questions after that. But yeah, here we go. Time for the first sprint. Okay, that was 10 minutes. Did that feel quite short? Or was it okay? I guess any.
Me or the
Yeah,
chat?
I'm asking everyone, you and the chat.
10 is short, but 10 is good. 10 is, stretch the wrist, take a
Yeah, I
sip
don't
of water.
know. I don't know when it becomes, because it is a sprint, not a marathon, um, especially in these sessions. And I don't know when it turns into like just you can't even think anymore because you're trying to get it all out. Um, but yeah, okay. How was your progress during that session?
I wrote 299 words, which might sound like a lot. Um,
Sounds like
just
a lot to
keep in
me.
mind it's the fourth draft of the novel, so it's just in my head to a certain extent coming back out. Yeah. But
Other
what are people
people
saying in the chat? I can't
Other people
see.
are saying, that felt like a really long 10 minutes to me. 10 minutes was good for me. Got stage fright and couldn't think of anything. That's okay. Because, thankfully, even though it's called the novel sprint, you don't have to write the entire thing in sprints like this. Oh, some people also ended up doing in the high 200s or 320. Very nice. Um, yeah, I feel so I've seen some of these before and it feels like in like 10 to 15 minutes, around 200 to 300 is the average of what a lot of people seem to produce, which again to me is very good. Very realistic, 317, probably a third will be cut. Even that's pretty good. I was gonna say, Rebecca, of these new 300 words, are they brand new or are they somewhat like how much does it overlap with the previous draft?
This is actually pretty new. I think actually all of it is technically new. Yeah, it's all technically new. Just the voice of the characters is in my head, which helps. So, yeah, if you're having that feeling of stage fright in front of the blank page, then it's a lot harder, which is a good time to remind our users perhaps about the new template feature in Studio.
Oh, yes. So I don't actually have this. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have this prepared to show you within the live. But if you are in Reedsy Studio right now, which presumably all of you guys are, then you can click on the planning clipboard on the left-hand side of the screen, and then go up to Add and Browse Templates. Let me know if this is working for you guys. Again, it's Planning, Add, Browse Templates, and you can see that we have some brand new story templates that have just gone live in Reedsy Studio. I think we have over 40 now that are live. And currently we just have note templates that are effectively meant for individual components of character development, world building, setting, and I think theme. So if anyone is struggling with figuring out what to fill your story with or just need some help with the planning, I know to some extent you don't want to over plan during November when you're doing the novel sprint, but if anyone's stuck or just wants to check them out, please feel free. Again, it's the planning icon on the side. Sorry that I don't have it pulled up. I didn't prepare it and now I'm scared. I'm scared to go off screen in case I mess something up with the broadcast. But it's the planning clipboard, add, browse templates. So Rebecca, have you gotten a chance to take a look at them yet? I guess you've looked at them internally for, work purposes, for sure.
Yes, I have. Yeah. So I think that if you're stuck, then working in the character development template, for example, is such a helpful place to put your energy. So much of what happens in a novel comes out of really knowing your protagonist really deeply. So the character templates, we have a general one, we have some more specific ones for an anti-hero if you're working on, even for villains. They can help you really get into the head of your character, which is good not just for internal monologue, but also for knowing the kinds of decisions that they make in response to the obstacles that you're going to throw at them over the course of the novel. So it can feel like a more low pressure way to get started to just really do kind of a game of free association where you're playing with what they are like inside of the template. And I don't, does that count? Yeah, that counts for your word count in Studio, I believe. And
Filling
then
in
on
the
top of
templates, you
that,
mean?
well, does it? I don't know.
I'm not sure if
I guess we should
just
have actually done,
I think just
yeah.
literally filling in the template won't necessarily count because it's not in the main sort of writing
Uh,
part. So, but hopefully it'll help you plan and make you write the next part all the faster, or the character development part. But yes, that was a very eloquent way of putting how you might use the character templates. Which indeed, again, I'm not writing anything at the moment, but from having a quick look at them, it really seems like those character templates could be particularly useful. Oh, and I was going to say, someone is saying it asks for uh, monetary information, but there is a 30-day trial for anyone who wants to test out templates completely free. So it is free for a month's time, really. Yeah, so hopefully everyone gets a chance to try it. And again, for anyone who didn't know or couldn't remember, if you complete 50,000 words in Reedsy Studio by the end of November, regardless of whether you win any other prizes, if you complete those 50,000 words, you'll get 3 months of premium studio, which includes access to the templates and many, many other planning and craft features. So if you love the templates, then maybe that's some motivation to finish off your 50,000 words. Yeah, hope people get some use out of those here. I'm just going to put a few other questions on here that people had asked. I think this is probably one of the more important ones to address just in terms of the challenge, because I know it's been a bit nebulous as to what the end of month contest will be like. Regarding submitting the first chapter, how long will the form be open and will we have time to clean it up? You will have a bit of time. We'll definitely leave at least a few days and most likely a week in between the end of November and when you'll be submitting the first chapter. Not least because we have to verify that everyone who enters has actually completed 50,000 words in studio. And of course, it is automated, but we also have a lot of entrants, so we want to make sure that there is enough time to verify and make sure everyone who's entering has legitimately completed the challenge. So yes, it'll be a few days at least and probably a week, and you will have a bit of time to clean up your entry, which is good because it is a merit-based contest at the end when we'll be judging the excerpts. And just to remind or tell everyone who didn't know, they'll be between 1,000 and 3,000 words. So that's the length of excerpt that you have to submit, same as you would submit to our weekly short story contest, if anyone has entered that. So that's that's one there. Here's a fun question for you, Rebecca. If you could assign us a reading, what would it be? And I guess to give you a little more direction, what would you suggest as a self-directed assignment to grow as a writer? Again, putting you on the spot.
hmm. So for a reading, I don't know if we're looking for something that's creative or if we're looking for a craft book. If you're looking for a craft book, I would highly recommend Matt Bell's Refuse to Be Done, which is basically like a three-step plan for writing a novel. And spoiler alert, step one is to do what you're doing now, which is to write a vomit draft or a zero draft. And then he has two more steps and a lot of practical exercises that take you through the process of revision. If I were to assign one creative thing to read, oh, that's a very fun question. I actually have a list of like my all-time favorite novels, and I feel like a lot of them wouldn't help most writers because they don't have a very strong plot. So D.H. Lawrence's The Rainbow is one that I love so much. Sheila Heti's How Should a Person Be is another contemporary novel that means a lot to me and that I return to again and again. But what really does well, maybe I'll just say that. Maybe I'll say how should a person be, which is actually in large part about writer's block and making ugly art, both of which are good things for all writers to think about. And
Is
what
that?
self oh yeah, go
Oh,
on.
I was gonna say, is that technically memoir or fiction?
It is fiction. It
Mm-hmm.
is subtitled A Novel from Life. And I actually write a lot in various places, including electric literature and plowshares, about what autofiction really is. And so it is autofiction. It's a classic of the genre of autofiction, which, people like to say, well, why isn't it just a memoir? Because it's not, it's a novel. It's a different contract with the reader. Um, and so a self-directed assignment to grow as a writer.
Once
Okay,
again,
I
kind of
do have
nebulous.
one.
Yeah. Mhm.
I do have one, and it is to write a couple of pages where you describe in detail your ideal reader. And that's not something nebulous. It's not like women 30 to 45 who are interested in cats and, perimenopause. It's something much more specific. Like you're imagining a specific person and almost kind of doing a character profile template of them. You're really getting into their head. You're describing what they look like, thinking about the struggles and desires in their life. And you're creating that person so that then you always have them in mind as a kind of character that you can bring to you and to your draft to think about what they would say about what you have on the page or don't have on the page, conversely.
Nice, and I also like how you tied it back to the character template, and I also liked how the example the example of what not to do, 30 to 35, loves cats, I think describes both of us. But
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I'm actually older than that now, but good too.
In the broadcast, we can be any age. Um, and yeah, thanks guys also for I'm glad that it seems like most of you are able to access the character templates and hopefully are using them now if you need them. And yeah, I suppose if you've already run out a 30-day trial of Premium Studio, then you may not be able to access them. But hopefully that's not the case for most people. Okay, I'm just going to answer a couple more questions about the contest at the end. Do we have to submit the first chapter 1,000 to 3,000 words? I know that we have been using sort of first chapter and excerpt contest interchangeably, but it should be the first part of whatever you've written in the challenge. Although again, you will have a bit of time to edit. So it should be the first 1,000 to 3,000 words. However, some people are continuing existing projects. So for those people, it won't be the first chapter of the project as a whole if you had written it prior to November. It has to be the first bit that you actually wrote for the month of November during the challenge. So hopefully that doesn't make things more confusing. But really, when you think about it, it should make sense. We're just trying to compare things fairly evenly, so it has to be something that you wrote this month. The first part of what you wrote this month. Let me see what else is here. Someone else said submitting a finished story by the end. So again, it's just that short bit of 1,000 to 3,000 words. So it's definitely not the entire manuscript, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be a whole first chapter if your first chapter is really long. So it doesn't have to be finished, but I would recommend selecting, a length between 1,000 and 3,000 words where it's sort of a natural start and finish so that it makes sense and doesn't just like cut off in the middle of something. And hopefully that is something you would do anyway, but just to say. Okay, now I feel like I got too into hearing your answers, Rebecca, and we should probably return to the sprints. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Oh wait, I'll just put one more in here. If you have short chapters, could it be like the first two chapters? Yeah, so if you had two short chapters of 1,000 words each, it could be that. Cool. And I know some people are not necessarily writing a novel or writing long chapters, so it's just the first bit of whatever you're writing. And speaking of, I will return us to the sprint now. So get ready to lock in, Rebecca, and everyone else. And that's us on the next 10 minutes. Again, to me, and I wasn't even writing, it did feel like it went by fast. Do you find, Rebecca, how often do you do like writing sprints in your free time, if ever, or do you only do them for Reedsy Lives?
Oh, I would say every morning is in a sense a writing sprint where I write and then I look at my email. Um, I use a bunch of like ch child control type apps to block myself from Instagram, things like that. But yeah, for like 90 minutes every morning, I go back and forth between really trying to get words on the page and then giving myself a little mental relief. I don't necessarily set a timer, but it's just an
Interesting.
ingrained part of my process. Yeah.
Gosh, so you always do morning pages, as it were.
Usually, I mean, I always hold that time, and sometimes that time has to be used for something else, like reading. But
Mhm.
in general, it trying to pitch and promote my book. Um,
Yeah,
but in
and
general, it's for actual writing.
the author never rests in this day and age. What are your favorite apps for keeping yourself focused?
So on my phone, I think we're gonna have a cat visitor. Milton,
Yay! Hi,
one of the stars of
Milton.
Cat.
I love
Um,
how he just dropped out of the frame like a puppet.
uh, yeah, he's in my lap now. So I use Brick on my phone, which is really nice because you have to go physically tap it on a device to get access back to your bad apps. And on my computer, I use something called Freedom, which can block apps as well as specific websites. So, Freedom, it's pretty easy to turn it off, and that's the one downside. So, but it's a good tool.
Yeah, I used to use that one myself, but then I think it did become too easy for me to turn it off. Or you can do the thing where you say, like, don't let me turn it off, but then you get annoyed with yourself if you really do need to turn it off. I mean, sometimes you need to, although it's rarely do you really need to.
On your phone, you can just delete it. On your browser, on your computer, it's very easy to close it. Too easy. They need to figure that out.
I guess it's all about striking the right balance, but that's good to know. Yeah, if people haven't tried Brick or Freedom and you need to focus up, although it sounds like quite a few of you made pretty good progress during that sprint. 80 in the first to 300 this time. Well done.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, it seems like people maybe are potentially going up this sprint. Um, Several people in the 300s. How many did you do, Rebecca?
I did 303, so it was almost a wash with the first one.
Interesting. Do we think we're that this will be the most productive session, or do you think we'll improve even further upon the third?
Oh, we're doing a third. Mm.
I think we might do a third, although
Yeah,
that means that I have to wrap up this question time pretty quick because
I
the
think we'll
hour
I think
is
we'll
going by
improve.
fast.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. It doesn't seem like there's too many questions about uh there are a few potential craft questions in here, but I think I'm just going to jump straight into the next sprint so we can do one more and we can say we've done half an hour of writing. And when I say we, I do mean you guys. But if anyone has, I'll try to get to some of the questions you guys just asked right after this. And if anyone has any pressing questions, make sure to throw them in here. But yeah, I'm going to return to the sprint screen. So get excited, everyone, to maybe top 300 words in this session. All right, yes, welcome back. That was our third and final session for the day today. So tell us how much you did in that session, or tell us how many words you've written over the course of this whole time, because we have been live for an hour now. Also, obviously, if anyone only allocated an hour and really needs to shoot off, feel free because you can catch the replay later. But I am intrigued to see and know how many words people did. Rebecca, how was that session for you?
It was good. So I got to 432 for a total of 1,043 words.
Wow. Okay, so you really did like increase as the time goes on. How many of these 10-minute sessions do you think you could do in a row and just keep increasing?
Oh, I think that I think that keeping your sites at like NaNoWriMo level, like 1,600 words per day, is more than adequate. So I probably wouldn't do this for more than like an hour or 5 sessions with breaks, because otherwise
Certainly.
you'll get exhausted at some point.
Yeah, but it's encouraging for someone like me to know that it can be done in potentially just over an hour. And seems like people likewise have had a pretty productive time. 410, just that sprint, that's definitely one of the higher ones that I've seen here. Others say 202, 205, 395, which is the fastest I've ever done in 10 minutes. Well done. And other people say, yeah, I mean, obviously, any number of words, even if you just wrote 50 words or less, it's, as I think you were saying, Rebecca, more words than you had before. Ooh, someone said 718. I'm guessing that that's the total for all three sessions, but I saw in one of the previous lives we did that someone managed to write 900 words or something in 15 minutes. So it's always possible. Um, oh, someone said they did 472. That's pretty good. Oh, whoops. I've just managed to lose the background here in my excitement about how many words everyone has done. My apologies. And yeah, Nikki over here said it right when they said, great numbers, everyone. Let me try and showcase a few more of these. 1,500, 1,500 words about today, 863 done in the sprint, 530 minutes, very respectable. I've heard that this is what a lot of like professional authors do, is like they aim for at least 500 a day. Of course, that's in non-novel sprint times. But still, all of that sounds pretty good. Um, and I think we can wrap up pretty soon here because I am conscious we've been live for over an hour. But any final thoughts, Rebecca? How are you feeling? Are you going to write more today, or are you done for the day?
I'm usually a morning writer, so it's a miracle to get afternoon writing done. But yeah, shaking up your routine, trying at a time that you usually don't try, I think is a healthy part of it. Since we have to write a lot in November, might as well take studio with you on the go, do a little from your phone, see when inspiration strikes.
That's so true. Wherever you can write, you should, and you can do it anywhere with Studio, and you can really get into it with templates now. And I'll just say one more time for those who maybe missed it before, if you want to access them, just go to the planning clipboard on the side of Studio, and then add at the top and browse templates, and you can access 40 plus ready-made templates to help you, uh, keep your story going, or add some new inspiration if you're stuck. A few people are saying they're going to write some more. That's great to hear. So cool. I'm just going to quickly go to our last slide about what we have coming up next. And I fear, Rebecca, I may have forgotten to put you in here, but there you are now. So you can also see what we'll be doing next week. So also for those who are having a little trouble filling out their stories, not totally sure where to take it after this first week. On Tuesday, I think Martin will be going over the concept of the B story, which, Rebecca, am I correct in thinking that this is like, if you have a subplot, it's like the main subplot?
Yes.
And yeah, can sort of help you bulk things out if you need to fill out the story or fill out the word count. And then same as this week, next week we'll also have a Wednesday Writers Club and a Friday happy hour. So if you guys are free this time again next Friday, feel free to come back. And yeah, those of you who said that you will keep on writing after this session, I hope you do. I hope you meet and exceed your goals for the day and indeed the week. And again, way to start strong. Excited to have the first week under our belts. So yeah, I will wrap it up. Thank you, Rebecca, for being here. And see you guys all next time. Here we go. Bye.
Bye.